As someone who's pastored for most of my adult life, one of the challenges that I consistently ran into was that every year when Christmas rolled around, I felt like I was fresh out of new ideas to make our Christmas Eve service special and something that families would remember. Well, in this video, we're gonna unpack 9 ideas to keep your Christmas Eve service fresh and inspirational this year. Let's do this. Well, hey guys, I'm Thomas from REACHRIGHT. We put out new content like this each and every week, in fact, multiple times each week. So if this is the kind of thing that you're into, if you're the pastor of a church or a church leader, hit that subscribe button. It would mean a lot to me. So in this video, we're gonna break down 9 different ideas that your church can incorporate to have a more impactful Christmas Eve service this year. Believe me, I've been in your shoes where you're trying to plan for Christmas Eve and you feel like I've done this before, I've preached this sermon before, we do this the same every single year, and sometimes it can leave you feeling a little bit bummed out about doing the same thing year in and year out. Well, first of all, before we get any further, I want to put you at ease. People like to do the same things every year. That's what a tradition is. In my family growing up here in Hawaii, every year at Christmas time, what did we do? We went out surfing on Christmas afternoon. That was a tradition because it's something we like to do year in and year out. So while you may feel that pressure that you can't just do the same thing over and over again, know that for most people, they expect you to do the same thing at Christmas every year. Some of those things are things that they really begin to cherish. If they've done this every year for the last 30 years, it may be something that they remember and love and part of the reason why they're coming to your Christmas Eve service. But that being said, there is something to be said for at least adding some kind of a new element to your Christmas service each year to keep things fresh and keep them moving forward. So in this video, we're going to present 9 different ideas. Some of them I'm sure you've heard of before, maybe some will be new to you. But let's dig in with the first one. Incorporate kids. Kids and Christmas have to go hand in hand because kids will be there in your service. And most churches, in my experience, do not offer any kind of children's programming or childcare during Christmas Eve services. Typically, they're a family service, and this is probably the one service out of the year that parents actually want to have their kids with them because Christmas Eve is a special night where families are really all about unity and bringing people together. So find a way to incorporate your kids. Maybe that means having them do one of the songs in your service. Maybe it's having a specific art or craft or coloring book for them to take part of during the service if some of the message might be over their heads. But find a way to incorporate kids. It'll keep things special for both parents and for their children. Secondly, Christmas Eve is a great time to bring out the choir. Now, fewer and fewer churches have a formal choir nowadays. I've actually never been a part of a church that had a regular choir that performed, but I have been part of churches that on special occasions like Christmas Eve, the choir makes that once a year or twice a year appearance. The choir is a great thing to incorporate at Christmas Eve because when someone is performing in a choir, they are much more likely to invite their friends, their family, and their loved ones to come out for a service to see them in the choir. So if you want to reach more people and you want to make things feel special, well, the choir is a great way to do that on Christmas Eve. Thirdly, don't be afraid to sing the classics. I'm talking about things like "O Holy Night" and "Joy to the World." These songs are things that people cherish once a year. I once visited a church that on a holiday actually started their service with the Foo Fighters song that starts, "All my life I've been searching for something, something never comes, never leaves." You know that song there? They started their service with that. And while I thought it was very creative, bold, and interesting, it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. They wanted just to have those songs that they grew up with, and they want their kids to learn the songs that they know about Christmas. And really, this is the one time a year where singing the same thing every single time is probably your best bet in a lot of cases. Number 4 is don't be afraid to light the candles. A candlelight service is something that I absolutely cherish. It's a part of my church's tradition, and it is something that my kids look forward to every year because it is the only day every year where I let them all play with fire. But really, in my mind, there are few illustrations that are better than the power of the gospel that we can display by lighting candles. To see a room go from darkness to light by one person sharing a candle with another, just as people can share the gospel with their friends and family and loved ones. This imagery tree is second to none and something that is really a treat to incorporate in Christmas Eve services. The fifth one is an idea that I've seen a few churches do, and one that'll probably cost you something and be a little harder to pull off, is to let it snow. I have seen a few churches actually have snow machines brought in to make snow for their Christmas service. There is something that is just so magical about snow falling when people are walking in and out of service there. So if this is something you can pull off and you have the budget to do something like that, it will make for a memorable evening, and you are sure to get a lot of Instagram pictures being taken if you include a snow machine and let it snow during your Christmas Eve service. Sixth, it's a good idea to give people a treat. People love treats, and there are lots of Christmassy treats that are a perfect fit for Christmas Eve service. Things like apple cider and gingerbread cookies, or even milk-in cookies. These kinds of things, especially for the kids, they really make your service more memorable, and it actually makes an impact. I don't know what it is about food, but there is a different level of intimacy that is opened up when we are sharing food together. Maybe it's a meal, maybe it's milk and cookies, but either way, having food at your Christmas Eve service is always going to be a good idea. Number 7 is consider having professional family photos. In most cases, your church probably has someone that is pretty decent with a camera and has some pretty good equipment that can pull something like this off. So consider making a photo booth and do some professional family photos. Or if that's not up your alley, consider just making the booth and giving it a hashtag and letting people take their own family photos on Christmas Eve. Let's face it, Christmas Eve service is one of the few times where people are going to be in their Christmas best, looking good, and their family will all be together. So a family photo will be something that they might cherish for a long time and always remember the time that they took that great family picture right there at your church. Number 8, and a great one I think, is to make Christmas Eve a time to give to those that are in need. People, whether they're members of your church or not, are always looking for a way, especially around Christmas time, to make an impact in the lives of those less fortunate than them. So this is a great opportunity to have a canned food drive or have an offering that specifically goes to partner maybe with your local homeless mission or other people that are in need. People are likely to be generous around Christmas time. And actually, we know from scripture that it is better to give than to receive. So in a sense, you're giving them a blessing by giving them an opportunity to give towards something that will really make an impact right there at Christmas Eve service. Ninth, and the final one, and one that we tend to end a lot of our videos with here at REACHRIGHT, is give your visitors a next step. Have a very clear call to action, because chances are you're going to have people within your church on Christmas Eve that have never been in that building before. And if you do have some of those people, if you're not asking them to take a step, you are missing an enormous opportunity. We have to think of every visitor that walks in your doors as a gift from God that is to be nurtured and cherished. And the best way to nurture that is to really think through, what is that next step? What do I want to invite this visitor to do as a result of coming here? Everybody knows that visiting a church on Christmas Eve isn't enough discipleship for an entire year. So you need to think through what that next step is, whether it's a new members class or inviting them to a small group or getting involved with a service project. Whatever it is, just make a point of talking about it in your service and make sure that there is no mistaking what the next right step is for someone that wants to take a step closer to Jesus. But these are just some of our ideas. I'd love to know what you think. What's something unique that your church does at Christmas Eve? Drop that in the comments below. We would love to help as many churches as possible with this video and with the conversation that's going to be happening in the comments. So let us know what your church does. Merry Christmas, and we'll see you next time.